Okay. Did you all receive the notice that it's recording?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. I did it right. Woohoo. All right. So I'm gonna this one thing being on this little screen, it's hard to see all the things.
Okay.
All right. So, welcome to Orientation 2.0. At this point, you have already probably done the original orientation, which was mainly to prepare you for your advising appointment. You're all registered for classes, and now you probably have a bunch of other questions. Okay, but now what else do I need to know before classes start on Monday? So my goal today is to try to hopefully answer a good chunk of your questions and also introduce you to some people and resources that you may or may not be aware of. At the end, I will leave an opportunity to ask more questions. I am kind of doing this solo at the moment. But when we have our other presenters, I will be able to spend a little more time looking in the chat and answering anybody's questions. While I go through the presentation, I ask that if you can mute your Zoom. That way everybody can hear me clearly, and there won't be too much background noise or anything. My apologies in advance if my little munchkins end up pounding on the door at some point. They've been instructed to hang out in the living room, but it happens every now and then, and that is life online. But yeah, feel free. It's up to you if you want to show your face or not. You're welcome to eat dinner. I know that you're spending your evening with me, so I don't mind if you're munching away in the background. But again, just keep it mute so we don't have to hear you chew. And yeah, I'm going to go ahead and get started. So if you haven't already, please put your first and last name in the chat and something that you're most looking forward to this semester. I myself am, well, I'm looking forward to hopefully getting some new art club members. We've had a lot of folks graduate. I'm the art club advisor, and so it's always nice to have fresh faces and fresh ideas. So if that is something that interests you, I'll tell you more about it later. All right, let's go to the next slide. All right, so how we're going to break it down. It may not be exactly on the dot these times, but this is the goal, depending on how much I talk or how slow I get or things I forget. So I'm going to do a little introduction about myself, and then I'm going to talk a little more about student life. Then you're going to hear from some of our academic coaches and career services. I'll also tell you a little bit more about the library and academic technology resources. And then the last chunk is just all the other stuff that you need to take care of if you haven't already. So again, this is recorded, so I don't expect you to memorize everything that we talk about. You're more than welcome to take notes if that's how you learn best. But if you just want to listen, and you can always come back to it later, I will share the recording with you all, as well as some additional worksheets that I had given to students who came to the in-person event. So I will make sure everybody gets a copy of all those things at the end. So this here, any initial impressions besides the fact that it's me? Put in the chat. I know it's kind of obvious. Maybe it's the hat that gives it away. So yes, this is graduation, 3 of them. Yes, I did. I did it 3 times so far. I don't know if there'll be another one. Yes, I was very happy and very excited. On the left, it was high school. In the middle was my bachelor's degree. On the right was my master's degree. And these were truly exciting days for me. I got to celebrate with my family and really have that kind of big celebration of all the hard work I had put in. But these were just 3 days, 3 moments out of the entire journey that I had. It is exciting moments, but there's a lot of stuff that went on behind the scenes that is just as important as these special days that we have in our lives. What you don't see in those pictures are the fact that it took me 14 years to get from high school to my master's degree. I am a first generation student, so I am the first person to go to college in my family. It also means I was pretty clueless about a lot of things. I just kind of was winging it a lot of the time, figuring it out as I went along. Um, Hundreds, possibly thousands of hours spent studying, going to class, turning in assignments, taking tests. I mean, the list goes on, and I'm sure you all are familiar with it. But there's a lot of time invested in the work that goes into these courses. Um, as far as personal life goes, I had lost some family members on that time frame, went on a little mental health roller coaster because stress management is a thing. um, some of my older friendships kind of faded away, and I made new friends. I experienced some career and major changes. So, what I initially thought I was going to be doing, I thought I was going to be a therapist. And now I'm still helping people, but in a different way. But that took some time and a lot of self reflection to get to the point where I am today. I've worked pretty much the entire time I've been in college, either part time, multiple part time jobs, or full time. I became a military spouse. My husband is in the Coast Guard, and we moved from California, then Texas, and now we are in I live in Portsmouth, but we're on the East Coast. So we're about as far as you can possibly get from California. We have a couple kids, and a whole lot of life has been lived in the time that I spent in college and trying to complete those degrees. And the reason I bring all that up is because there are certain little nuggets of knowledge that I've kind of learned along the way that I think is good to share with everybody. A big one is that you really, really want to celebrate the journey. It really is about the journey and not the destination. Although graduation is great and exciting, as you saw, that's a very, very small percentage of the time that you are dedicating to your education. It's really important that you remember that school and life will intersect. They're not parallel experiences. They're going to happen at the same time. So you are going to have to be very flexible as you go along, because sometimes there's going to be stuff going on in your personal life that's going to impact school, and you're going to have a whole lot of school assignments due and studying and tests where you may not have as much time for fun stuff and spending time with your friends and family. So that flexibility is really important, because from month to month, week to week, semester to semester, things can look different. I also encourage everyone to celebrate the small successes along the way. If you wait to celebrate until the very end, it's kind of anticlimactic. But it's really important that you give yourself a little boost. Like if you studied really hard for a test and you passed, or you turned in this paper that was stressing you out for weeks and weeks and weeks, or you just finished the semester, it doesn't all have to be hard and challenging, but reward yourself. If it's, you get a little treat, take yourself out to dinner, even if it's just saying, I'm proud of myself. That is wonderful, because at times nobody hears that. And I think it's important that you be proud of all the things that you accomplish while you're on this journey. Also, this journey is your own, and try really hard not to compare it to other people. As you saw, my journey took 14 years. I had some friends that completed all that within 8 years, maybe less. But I had to remind myself that they weren't going to my classes. They weren't paying for my school, certainly not my school loans, which I'm still paying back. And they're not completing my degree. They're not going to do my career for me. And even though they may have had different supports, maybe they lived at home so they didn't have to pay rent, or maybe their parents were able to help pay for their education and they didn't have to take out financial aid loans and those kinds of things. If I spent all my time comparing my journey to theirs, then I wouldn't really be able to appreciate all that I accomplished along the way. Another one is to learn from your challenges. When I was younger, definitely if I failed a paper or I struggled in a class, I really felt like, oh my God, I'm a failure. Like, this is terrible. I can't believe I didn't pass. And I navigated more and more of those situations, I realized it always kind of worked out in the end, even if it wasn't, I was hoping it would work out as. But each one of those times was an opportunity for me to learn something about myself, about what not to do the next time, or what to do the next time I face that similar challenge. So I encourage you, every semester, take some time to reflect on how that semester went and really think about, what did you learn from that? Not just what did you learn in the class, but what did you learn about yourself as a student? And how can you take that into the next semester and make more improvements? Also, it's really important that you find your person or your people. College can be kind of isolating at times, especially if you have that mindset of, I'm just going to class and going home and getting the heck out of there. Which it's fine if that's how you want to go about it. But it is important if you have somebody that you can go to when you do hit those bumps in the road, whether it's myself, whether it's one of the academic coaches that you end up meeting today. It could be an advisor, professor, classmate, just some people that you have to kind of lean on so that if you do need help, you have someone to go to. The next big part of that, though, is being open to asking for help. I came from a family who very much took great pride in the fact that they did not ask for help, and then they would complain that nobody ever helped them. It's kind of backwards, I know. But that did not serve me very well when I went to college initially, because I never asked for help and I was struggling, and I didn't need to struggle that hard. There were tons of resources available to me that I wasn't using. And once I reached a point where I was real struggling, I ended up doing quite well once I started using tutoring and talking to advisors and going to the financial aid office and understanding, the consequences of things I had done. So be sure to ask for help if you need it. You are your own best advocate. As much as the staff and faculty wish we were mind readers, we are not. Sometimes we get clues that you might be struggling if you just stop going to class, or, you are not, we get an alert or something that's letting us know you haven't turned in assignments for 3 weeks. That gives us a clue, but that doesn't give us the full picture of what might be going on. And guaranteed, there's something that can be done about whatever it is you're experiencing. So if you need something, say something.
Share it. I'm sorry, I had to talk myself through. Let's see. Well, this is our first slide. We'll see if we can get anywhere with it. But thanks for your patience, everybody. This is a little bit about academic coaching. We work with all students. Some are required to work with us. Some are choose to work with us. So we help students with all sorts of academic challenges. Most students have some sort of academic challenge. Some don't realize it, but most sort of know coming in, math is tough, or I really can't write, or I just can't find my stuff. I'm so disorganized. So those are some of the everyday things that we talk about with our students. But it is to help the student to build stronger habits, learn some strategies to be successful, manage their time, and have an advocate and have someone that they can talk to that can help them along the way, maybe refer them to other people that can support their success, and just have a name that they can, reach out to if they have a concern or a problem. Let's see if we, look at that, Denise. So,
I can continue, Pam.
okay.
Yes. So for academic coaching, it's a support service that's available to all students at Northern Essex. It's a one-on-one coaching to help students develop and improve their academic skills and performance. So I guess in a way I can explain it, it's similar to tutoring, where a student will meet with someone one-on-one, but we do not tutor content. We work more on helping students to become better students, examining their strengths or maybe barriers that they're facing or any academic concerns that they have. And we teach students strategies. How can they become a better student, better note taker, how to study better. And we do that as a one-on-one with the student. So it becomes very personalized. We help students create short-term and long-term goals. Sometimes I tell students those goals can be anywhere between what can I accomplish for today? What can I accomplish for this week? Sometimes it could be what can I accomplish within a month, knowing that the student during the semester, the one long-term goal that they'll have is, completing their classes. So we kind of try to manage their shorter term goals. How can you have a successful semester by having short-term goals? Next slide, Pam, please. Support services that we offer, time management, which I think goes along with assignment planning and organizational skills. We know that our students are, very busy. They have, their personal responsibilities, work, and then, they also trying to manage going to school, completing their assignments. So we help students like, what is the best way to budget your time? And we help students create an assignment schedule. Sometimes it's, an agenda. How do I put an agenda together that includes, everything that students have to complete? And that comes too with organizational skills. With the organizational skills, it makes it easier for students to, one, plan, and also to manage their time. And part of the organizational skills too is teaching students to have the materials that they need. Sometimes we teach students how to create a good study space and what does that look like. Then obviously we do study skills, note-taking skills, test-taking skills. Study skills, I tell students studying begins right at the beginning of the semester. You should review your notes before you start class. You should go over your notes after class. It's a good practice, so you keep building on what you're learning. So once you have an exam coming up, it doesn't feel like you have to do all this studying all at once and trying to, cram all this information, a day before, a few hours before an exam. We teach different skills on how to study, how to take notes, which is also a skill that students, depending on the class, it could be how to take notes during a lecture, how to take notes when students are reading, double entry journals. It could be 3-2-1s. So sometimes instructors want students to do a different type of note taking. So we help students with that too, whether it's annotating, doing double entry notes or Cornell notes. And then obviously, the better you become at note taking, those notes will also help you study and help you prepare for test taking. So the test taking skills that we teach students is how to take a multiple choice test, how to take an open response test, making sure that students understand the format of an exam ahead of time, or creating a study guide, or if an instructor provides a study guide, how to use that study guide to prepare for an exam. And part of that too is how to do self-testing so students can be more prepared when they sit down to take an exam. We do goal setting, which I mentioned already. We help students, what is the purpose? Why are you here? Why are you taking classes? The goal could be sometimes students want to take, a couple classes, depending on their job that they already have. Some want to earn a certificate, other ones want to earn an associate's degree. So using those goals, like I said, to set short-term goals to help students achieve their overall goal. We help students brainstorm for assignments. Sometimes students come to us because they have an assignment and they're not too sure where to begin with the assignment. Either they need help understanding the assignment or they need help breaking down the assignment. We help students with online learning strategies, how to use Blackboard, how to submit assignments on Blackboard. Sometimes instructors use other online platforms like Connect Math or My Math Lab. So we help students with that as well. Plus also how to be an active participant in a class that requires students to log into Blackboard as part of whether it's a hybrid or a completely online class. What does that look like in the online world? We help students, we connect students to other support services. So if we see that a student might benefit from tutoring, making sure that a student is meeting with a tutor. It could be encouraging students to meet with someone from career services. It could be counseling services or CARS if students want to see someone in the Center for Accessibility, Resources, and Services. Sometimes we help students make those connections. And then motivation and encouragement. Sometimes things do get difficult. Sometimes it's hard to, stay focused or have that same momentum when the semester starts. And we're here to provide that support, provide that encouragement, and provide students motivation so they can keep moving along. Next slide, please, Pam. So what does academic coaching look like? So when a student comes to their first meeting, they have the one-on-one with the coach, and we assess. We assess what are the needs of the student, and based on those needs, we come up with a plan of action with the student. So it's a relationship that we build with the student, where the student and the coach are working together to help the student have a successful semester. During follow-up meetings, we kind of discuss on the previous meeting, the progress that the student made or any concerns, or do we need to address something, make changes, try something different in order to, help the student. Academic coaches, we help provide structure and encouragement. A lot of our students like having that person on campus. Sometimes they say they come because they want someone to hold them accountable in terms of, we make a plan for a week or 2 weeks, and then the student comes back and, they have someone that they talk things through. How much were they able to get done? And then obviously, like I said, sometimes students need to talk things out because things, sometimes things can get a little hard, and they just need someone there to listen. So we do that as well. Students meet with their coach once a week or as needed. Most of our students do meet with us on a weekly basis. Our appointments are 30 minutes. But students can meet with us, as needed. So if a student wants to meet more than once a week, that's fine. If a student wants to do it every other week or once a month, that's perfectly fine too. Once the student starts working with an academic coach, that student will work with that academic coach during that semester and for the time that they are at Northern Essex. Sometimes, there could be a change in the coach if a student prefers to work on a campus and that coach is not on that campus, obviously that too, not necessarily saying that once you start with a coach, you can't change a coach, but building that relationship with that one particular coach, works very well with students. That person becomes your to-go-to person. If you have any questions that, you have that person on campus to go to. And like I said, we make referrals to other campus resources depending on the student's needs. Our meetings are confidential. We don't share what students share with us. Like I said, sometimes students do come with us and, they express certain concerns. Those things stay between the coach and the student. And then the services are included in tuition. There is no extra fees to meet with an academic coach, which is awesome. Pam, I think you're up next.
Okay, very nice. Thank you, Denise.
Thank you.
So it sounds great so far. It's free. You have a advocate, you have a friend, you have somebody who can encourage you, someone to hold you accountable. All good things. I believe that every student can benefit from having an academic coach, and we have had so many students come in with everything going well, except they just don't have confidence, and that's all we help them with, and they fly along it so well once they start to believe that they can do it. As it says, we are trying to make students the best student that they can be, but we have to have their help. You have to tell us where your challenges are. You have to, over time begin to assert yourself a little bit, and we can help students with that. many of us went to school thinking just be quiet and get through it and be invisible and don't ask questions because you don't want to stand out or look like you're not as smart as the person sitting next to you. College is so different. You really have to speak up. I sometimes think of it as, you paid for a product, you paid for an education. If you're not getting that, you have to speak up. It's your right, but it's also your responsibility to ask questions. So helping students get comfortable doing that is part of the work that we do. Helping students find balance more often than not, especially lately. We've had to coach students, from keeping the 40-hour job, with 40, with a full-time course load. I had joked with one guy, I said, well, underneath that big sweatshirt, is there like a Superman t-shirt? Because most people can't do what you're trying to do. And we try to help them establish realistic expectations for themselves. If you're always getting sick or there's always a crisis and you can't keep up and you're always overwhelmed, those are signals that, something maybe should change. And so we have a lot of conversations with our students about that, like how can you, keep that job and earn money that you need, and also, stay healthy and be able to make it to class and get something out of the experience. And as Denise said, sometimes it's overwhelming. Sometimes it's exhausting. But they come into the centers and there's smiling faces there, and there are people that already have seen some of the success and encourage more. I think it's come up a little bit already that, we talk about study skills, how to take notes, how to prepare for tests, how to manage time, how to be organized. I'm a big planner person. I have a big chunky planner that kind of goes everywhere with me, and I basically won't make a promise unless I look at my planner so that nobody's disappointed if I have to say no. I don't want to say I'm going to do something and then find out that I can't because I already said I'd do something else. So rather than rely on my somewhat poor short-term memory, I write everything down in a planner. And I try to help my students learn how to use that and learn how to rely on it. But that's a big one for me. I always said I don't think I was the brightest person in the class, but I do believe I was the most organized. So I love sharing that with my students. You can make an appointment with an academic coach through Navigate. An academic coach can help you to learn how to use Navigate. You can send an email to the Academic Coaching Center directly. If you see, it says send email to academiccoaching@necc.mass.edu. I do want to make a point about that. If a student wants to reach any faculty member or staff member on campus, it's always their first initial, their last name at necc.mass.edu. So in addition to the academic coaching email, if you wanted to reach one of us, it would be our first initial, our last name at necc.mass.edu. We do have in-person meetings. We meet via Zoom. Sometimes we just take a walk outside. Sometimes we meet in a location on campus. But we try to make ourselves available in those ways, in person, on Zoom. Most of us also use text-free, which is a text service so that we don't have to use our personal phone numbers. And students can text us at any time. They can email us at any time. And obviously they can walk into our center anytime. They may have to wait if we have an appointment ongoing, but they can come into the center, and sometimes another coach can help out momentarily until we're free to meet with you. Our locations include Haverhill campus, the Spurk building, that's the C building, and also in Lawrence in the Dimitri building, L231. We are kind of a 9 to 5 operation, but Denise will have to admit that most of us work outside of those hours to some degree. We check our email before we go to sleep at night and first thing in the morning. So if there's something going on, chances are we've already read the email and we're on it. So, but generally that's the hours that our centers are open. There's usually something to eat there. Some of our ladies like to bake. We do have snacks and often fruit and other goodies. And we have some space where a student can sit down and study. Sometimes it gets a little rowdy and fun. This week, probably Monday won't be the quietest time because I'm assuming that the basketball team will be coming back, and our guess is that they're going to win the championship. So it's going to be pretty loud in the centers. So I don't know that that would be the ideal day to come in and try to study quietly. And that is some of our information about us. I'm going to actually stop sharing here and ask if Victor in particular, did anything lead you to a question that you might have?
I do not have any questions. I just I definitely would think that I am would need a coach and whatnot through this whole process. It's like I'm coming back. I'm a first time student again. I haven't been back to school in over 20 years. So school is a lot different in the 1900s than they are now, you know. So
I want to
would
work with you. Yes,
I definitely would.
Go ahead.
I definitely would love to take advantage of this and stuff like that. You know, anything to better get understanding and educate myself in any way possible would be awesome.
That's great. That's really great. I was a non-traditional student. I went to college out of high school, and then I stopped, and then I went back years later, and I had a family and children and a life and a job, and I went back, and it was kind of earth-shattering. It really was. Even in the short amount of time that went by, it was very different. So I can appreciate that. But we completely understand. We have so many non-traditional students. I'm not even sure I like that title, but you'll be in good company. You're going to make some great friends, and you'll see other people that are also returning. They're career changers, or maybe they got laid off, or there's Mass Reconnect. There's a lot of reasons people come back, and that's part of what we do is to help people feel supported, have a place to go, have people to ask questions of. We want to make you feel like, yeah, I've got this. I'm gonna do my part, but I'm also gonna have the kind of help and direction and support that I need. So we love it. We're all a bunch of, well, one girl is young. She's in her 30s.
We're all
but
young.
we're all kind of young. Two of us are grandmothers. So we have pictures of our babies on the wall. It really is a fun kind of a place. And Denise and Gretchen and Sarah work on both campuses. So we have the joy of having them everywhere. And they are the best of the best. Some of us are, like, for instance, I'm specifically in Haverhill. I usually don't go except for special occasions or conferences or workshops. I don't go to Lawrence. It's just a function of when I was hired, and that was just the way it was. So not that I'm not willing, but right now my home is the Haverhill campus. But you can, when you make an appointment, you can choose which campus, you can choose which time, you can choose which person. So we're very excited. We love the beginning of every semester. We love to have students coming back, and we're all we like what we do. We like helping people. So thank you for your time. Thank you for
Yes, thank you. And for your patience too, Victor, with the tech issues. Thank you.
Sure. Victor, you're muted. You want to unmute yourself?
Yeah, no problem. I was actually just learning along the way with you guys, you know. So hey.
Something I could say about technology, you just learn to roll with it. And I mean, that's going to be honestly much of your college experience is things will come up and you just roll with it. And there's people here to help you figure it out.
Sure.
All right. Well, thank you,
I'm
Pam and Denise.
excited about that aspect of things, you know, because I feel like I will need a lot of help, and I need help building confidence, you know. So I'm very timid going into this. I'm very nervous and stuff, but happily anxious at the same time, you know. So
we're here to help you along the way.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. It's very
It was
natural
nice
and
meet- Yeah, nice
yes.
meeting you, Victor.
It was a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, thank
I'm
you,
gonna,
Pam and Denise. Go ahead.
okay, I was gonna say, do you want to roll over to Katie? Do you want me to stay? Do you want to try to reconnect so that you're the host again? How do you want me to do this?
I think you can make me the host or back the host. I
Okay.
can't speak today. And then I'll have Katie speak from there, and then I'll make her a co-host just in case.
Okay, I did that, so tell me if it's working for you.
Yep, I'm the host again. Thank
And
you,
I'm
Okay.
Pam.
Alrighty, thank you, and I will see you all soon.
Bye,
All right,
Pam.
have a
Thank you
good
very
one.
much.
Bye, thank you.
All right, welcome, Katie. I'll let you take over from here.
Sounds good. Let me share my screen. If you have anything else you want to mention, or Victor, it's a pleasure to meet you first and foremost.
Hello, how are you, Persia?
Doing okay, doing okay. All right. Tiffany, anything else to add, just real quick?
No, I think we're good for now. It's been a little backwards of a session, but we're making it work.
I heard everyone say you roll with it, and I I can attest to that. That's exactly what life is. So we can jump right in to the presentation, and along the way, if you have any questions, please let me know. As we go through this, I will be mentioning some examples. My recommendation is pick one, attach to one, give it a try. We'll jump into that in a second. It will make more sense. So let's get started. My name is Katie Ramada, she, her, hers pronouns, and I am the coordinator for career services and internship programs at NECC. What that all translates to is, well, we're here as a resource. And perhaps the most exciting, what do we do? Career services is all about career development. It means that we're here for you at each step of your career. And then think of that as a wheel. It could be a cycle. And you'll likely go through many career cycles throughout your life. This is a part of that. We're here at all parts of that journey. On page now, I put up this wheel to get a better understanding of what career development means in our point of view, and hopefully yours too. It starts like a clock, knowing yourself, understanding your values and your interest, exploring your options, understanding what relates to those values and interests, things that can keep you captivated and engaged. And that involves occupational research. It involves industry trends, getting a better understanding of what major may relate to this. And then it comes time to get focused. And this is where a lot of the resources around campus that you've already heard about really fit into the bigger picture of how you can develop these skills that can then be harnessed towards your future career. That comes with goal setting, action planning, getting more involved in your classes or even outside of your classes. Then it comes time to take that action. Perhaps you're already working and you're looking to advance in your career. That could be an example of an action. Could be getting out there and gaining experience in the industry you wish to switch to. Another example. Again, we are here for all stages of this development process and understanding that that is a circle. You're going to keep coming back to it. How you can connect with our career services office. We're very much so an opt-in type of service. So students who are interested in meeting with our office can schedule an appointment on Navigate as you would with an academic advisor or another service on campus. And we have a list here of the most popular topics someone may select to meet about. Resumes, cover letters, of course, that job application cycle. Beyond that, career exploration is one of the most popular, and that goes for someone who is interested in what it is that they're currently interested in and exploring that option, or looking at something else completely new. We talk about resources and what makes the most sense for that person. We do one-to-one coaching in this case. We have evening hours available. We also meet with students in person and virtually over Zoom. We also do email consults. With the email, it's a little bit different. Of course, depending on the situation, we may refer for a live meeting, whether in person or over Zoom, where you would benefit from that interaction more. And of course, we do workshops as well, where we go in and partner with professors to work with a class. And we also do events around campus, so you'll see those posted. I mentioned that there are different resources that you could get started with. You can definitely select one. Whatever stands out to you, I recommend giving it a try. Let's go through them. The first is, what can I do with this major? As the name would describe, you can consider occupations looking at the major first. You can use the QR code on this page. Alternatively, you can pull up the NECC website and just do a quick search on the website for this. It will then link you over to the pages where you have over 100 major profiles. Let's say you're interested in criminal justice and want to know what careers you may want to pursue after you finish your degree. You can look up that, and it will give you information about that career, how to get more involved, how to make the most of your degree and your academic time. Now, that being said, it could give you other ideas that you might not have considered. You might have thought of one major meaning something, and this profile can give you a lot of other examples of ways that you could apply your skills that you're learning as a student. There's no login required with this example. That's also a big plus. The next resource is taking this from a different perspective. Pathful Explorer is another career exploration tool, taking this from the career and the occupation, and then thinking about it, how do I get there? So opposite lens. The big draw for this resource is that there are individual videos about, well, as you can see here, personal trainer, different career options, where this company has interviewed people working in the field, and they've done informational interviews to understand more about the occupation, the responsibilities for it, as well as the education required to get there, and understanding more about their path, because there's not a linear path to pursue a certain job or career. One of the other drawers of this particular resource is the assessment tool. So if someone is looking for information on how do my interests relate to a future career, I don't know where to begin, or I'm really seeking some validation, I want to understand more, these assessment tools can be very helpful and insightful. So this particular website you can use with your NECC email, and you can log into it that way. It is not connected to your My NECC single logon, so you do not have the same password for it. You may need to reset your password. Third out of 4 resources here. This resource is great at any stage of your career, your academic career. NECC Connect is, well, it's an option for you to connect with NEC alums. So graduates of the college have indicated that they're okay to give feedback. They're interested in helping and mentoring a student. And mentoring means different things. For this case, the simple ask is sending off a question. That's what this platform does. You can send off a question, get career advice, and get support from those alums. Let's say you're interested in learning more about computer science and you want to hear it from an alum. You can go ahead and send off your question, add in a little bit more detail, and you might compose something that mentions, hi, I'm just starting at NECC. I'm interested in computer science, and I'm looking for examples on how to get started in my career. And you can send that off, and it will be matched with another NECC alum who shares some common keywords as what you just put into your email. The QR code will bring you to the page, and if you need some support in crafting that email, it will also have an AI tool to assist you in creating and generating a question. This one does not require a login, so you can send off the information and then expect an email back. It is guaranteed that you will get an answer from someone, either an NECC alum or an NECC staff member. And our fourth and final resource is Handshake. Handshake is our job tool, and it's so much more than that. Think of it a little bit like Indeed, but for college students. On here, you can connect with jobs, internship opportunities, companies, And the best part with Handshake is that it's really geared for college students who are looking for this entry-level experience, looking to make a career change. There are many opportunities out there that are always getting posted online or perhaps only on the company's website. Handshake, our goal is to connect you with that first next step. There are also work study opportunities, so jobs on campus that if someone has completed their FAFSA and received approval from financial aid, that you may qualify for, and you can take those opportunities as well. These are part-time work opportunities that are conveniently on campus, and the benefit here, you can definitely work with the employer because they understand that you're a student. They know that classes come first. When deciding your schedule, it's a little bit easier when working here. Another benefit of Handshake is that you can submit your resume and cover letter on the platform and request feedback from our office. Many students use this option, and that's how they connect with us to start. And then we are able to reach out, offer feedback, and that likely turns into a meeting where we're able to work together and talk through suggested feedback and edits. And of course, you can apply directly to jobs and internships and attend free virtual events. There are companies on this platform from across the country, big and small, medium size, as well as a lot of local regional companies that you might be interested in. And I did not mention this particular account is connected to your MyNECC. So when you do log in, it's using the same credentials to log in. You already have an account. It is something that's already attached to your login as a student. So in closing, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Our locations are our flagship office, that's in Haverhill. We are in the Spurk building, just across from academic coaching. It's C212B. We also have our location in Lawrence, which is in the Dimitri Academic Center, L200. And it mentions rotating. We do go over to the Al Hefney building on occasion as well, and that is the primary health professionals building. And of course, we offer Zoom meetings. I did not mention the timings on here. Our office is also typically 9 to 5. However, during the semesters for spring and fall, we have currently been staying open on Tuesdays and Wednesdays till 7 p.m. whenever the campuses are usually open to that time. So Tuesdays have been this semester in Lawrence up until 7 p.m. We've offered our services, and Wednesdays in Haverhill until 7 p.m. as well. And the best way to get a hold of us is through Navigate to schedule an appointment or to contact us over email or a quick question over phone. And that's it for me. Do you have any questions?
Thank you, Katie.
I do
Victor,
not
go
have
ahead.
any questions. You've been pretty thorough. Yeah, I don't have any questions at all.
Cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, of
Yep.
course.
Fortunately, Career Services is available at any time that you're here, whether it's, at the beginning stages or when you're getting to the point where you're starting to look for a career, or even after you've graduated and you still need some support. So definitely a resource I recommend students use at least some point in their career here, because it's very helpful. All right.
Thank you, Tiffany.
Thank you very much. And I will see you another time, Katie.
Probably next week. See ya.
Probably. All right. So the time is flying by. Those lovely tech challenges have kind of eaten up some time. I'm going to do my best to get through the last bit of all of this. I may go kind of fast. Just know that I don't expect you to memorize everything that I talk about. You're more than welcome to write things down, but I will be sharing the PowerPoint, the recording, and some additional documents to help you, keep track of all this information, because I know it's a lot. So the next one I'm going to cover is student life. We don't have them here with us today, so I'm going to do my best to represent student life. But really their goal is to focus on making sure that the experience students are having outside the classroom is just as valuable as the time spent in the classroom. So Our primary student life staff are Suzanne Reyes and Patty Goslin. They both kind of ping pong back and forth between the Haverhill and the Lawrence campus, depending on what activities are going on and where they're needed. The primary goals of the Office of Student Life is to support students outside the classroom, as I said, providing a safe space that's very welcoming for all students, making sure that they're fostering some additional student learning and development, and providing programs and services that very much cater specifically to students. They also are over clubs, organizations, and interest groups. They host a bunch of events and activities that are free for students. They have a leadership development program. So a lot of stuff. As far as their physical locations go, they have spaces in both campuses. On the left, you see the Lawrence campus. They are located in the Dimitri Building on 45 Franklin Street, and it's on the first floor. Really, essentially, once you walk in there, there's a beautiful mural on the wall, and you'll see there's a couple openings to their offices. So there's the student life and work study room, and then they have the lounge. The lounge has computers in it, and it's just this nice chill space to hang out and study or meet up with friends. A lot of times they have snacks and stuff in there as well. And then the Haverhill campus, they are located in the student center on the second floor. We call it the Knights Nook area. But they have some offices, physical offices with doors, and then they also have the space in the center of the room. Again, there's tons of space for students to just relax, hang out between classes, come specifically to study if they want. There are some study cubes with computer access, and then outside the bookstore, there is also a whole row of computers and tables that students can use as they need. If you are a primarily online student, you can still come to campus and take advantage of some of these in-person things. I know schedules may not always allow, and so same with transportation, but definitely anything that we mentioned that is on campus is open to any online student as well. Next, we have our student groups. Student Life is over 20 plus clubs and organizations. On their webpage, you can see what currently is open, but if there is a club that you're interested in that the college is not currently offering, odds are there's probably other students that might be interested in the same thing you are. So they have information on how you can create your own club. They also are over the Student Government Association, and this organization is run by students, and its goal is really to protect student rights and help elevate their voice to administration. They have meetings twice a month on both campuses and on Zoom. They have different officer positions, but if that's not something you're interested in, every student is technically considered a member just by being a student. So if there are things that you're concerned about on campus or at the school, or things that you would like to see, student government is a great way to make your voice heard. There are lots of leadership opportunities. I know coming up, the leadership conference is coming soon. These are all opportunities to really add to your skill set, things that you can put on a resume, and just really that personal development, and especially building confidence. That's a big one. I know imposter syndrome. I have felt it myself, but these are great chances to really meet new people. Have worked on some of these skills. Student Life does have some work study positions available. Work study is for students that have applied for financial aid and are financial aid recipients, and then they are eligible. They are on either campus typically, and this is better than I would say some of the jobs off campus in that we prioritize you as a student first and employee second. So any of the work that you may be asked to do as part of that work study job is working around your schedule. And yeah, again, those are great skills to put on a resume. I definitely can say like higher ed responsibilities look really good to future employers. So if that's something you're interested in, I definitely recommend checking in with financial aid. Campus traditions, there's tons of kind of regularly scheduled events that happen every year. Weeks of welcome, those occur at the beginning of each semester where we kind of kick off our excitement for students to come back to campus, where there's different activities, there's welcome tables where students can pick up items as well as ask questions and get help finding their classes. Wednesdays, we have Wednesday Night Pride, where you can wear your blue and your gold or any NECC gear and just kind of show your school spirit. There are a ton of other events here, but I'm going to focus on the one that's coming up next or most recently, which would be Spring Jam. I recommend you save the date for that. It'll be April 17th, and it's located in the Haverhill Fitness Center / the quad outside of the fitness center. And that's from 11 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. So if you are able to participate, you don't have to be there for the whole thing. It could even just, you stop by for 10 minutes, whatever works for you. But it's an opportunity to see some different clubs, organizations, resources on campus, and there's music and food and usually it's games and activities. So it's a lot of fun and it's a nice way to celebrate. No more snow. I mentioned Wednesday Night Pride. Here's just an example of some of the things people might choose to wear. All the events are free. There's so many different ones. And of course, if there's ever anything that you'd really love to see, I will say Student Life's very open-minded and they're willing what's going on at NECC as far as upcoming events or really any other important things. The big one you're going to hear from everyone is check your email, your student email. At this point, you've probably had a lot of my contacts to your personal email, but now we're going to start expecting that you're checking your student email going forward. Also, they will have information on the TV monitors that you might see in some of the buildings. You can talk to people, you can talk to me, you can talk to the employees in Student Life. There's flyers all around campus. Their website is another great place to start. There is an event calendar on there. You can check the bulletin boards. Social media is a big one. I highly recommend following Student Life. They're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, although I will say Instagram and Facebook are probably the most active, but that's a great way to see what events are coming up. And sometimes they'll just share important updates that students might be aware of. So definitely worth getting connected. And they often have all kinds of free goodies to hand out. So it's worth, stopping by those events when you can. Again, you can stop by their office, you can call or text them, you can send an email with any questions, concerns, or things that you want to know more about. My challenge for anybody when it comes to Student Life, you can be as involved as you want, but I recommend everybody try to check out at least one Student Life thing, whether it's going to a club meeting, whether it's just stopping by one of the major events. You don't have to be committed to a group to still participate in whatever works for you. So definitely check it out if you can. Jump right into the library. Library is another place where there's just tons of different types of things available to students. So if you're ever in doubt, they're a great place to start. Obviously, they have a website with tons of resources available there. They have physical locations. In Haverhill, they're in the Bentley Library, the A building, right just across from the Student Center. Basement level. So if you're ever like, where the heck is it? It's down there. They also are available by text. You can chat with them. You can book a room to study in. All different ways to get in touch with them. As far as accessing the resources off campus, they used to have a different method, but now they've kind of aligned it with address, which is your student ID at student.necc.edu. And then your password is going to be the same as your portal/student email. And it'll either be your 8-digit birth date, or if you changed it to something else, it'll be that. They have research guides. So if you are starting to do research papers perhaps, or projects, and you need a little help getting started with that, they can assist you with just getting started, finding articles, research, books, all kinds of things. Additionally, they can help you with citing those resources. So not only do you want to find them, you want to appropriately cite them so you don't risk plagiarism. So they can help you with all of that. In addition to those, they also have physical books, they have ebooks, downloadable audiobooks, they have access to other databases with more information that if they don't have it here, they can get it from another library. They have study spaces, computers, course reserves. So if there are any books or things that your professor wants to put on reserve, that means you can essentially check it out or borrow it from the library for a couple hours, and then you would return it. There are some anatomical models available. So if you are taking, say, anatomy and physiology or a chemistry type course, there are some 3D models that students can borrow, especially if you're kind of a visual learner. The 3D models can be really helpful. And as far as how to reach them, again, many ways: text, phone number, chat on their website, email, or you can just walk in. And then additionally, they have our if you are finding that you're having a hard time getting into your Blackboard, using Word or Excel or any of those other free items that are available to you, really anything technology related, they can help get you started. I know the coaches definitely mentioned they're willing to dive a little more deeply into like how the teacher organizes their class and the content, but this is a really great way to make sure you kind of know what you're doing once you're in there and your classes are available. And even if you're in an on-campus class, you may still find that you're using Blackboard and other online resources. So it's important that you get familiar with it early on. As far as getting help from the academic technologists, they're available in person in the libraries on both campus. They also are available through chat. Sometimes they will host occasional workshops, or you can contact them directly. Jacob Queering is in Haverhill and Rowan Blackwood's in Lawrence. And I realized I forgot to type that in there. And then they also have the ability to schedule appointments and navigate, so you can get just that one-on-one help from them. Again, if you're not familiar with how to use Navigate, that is also something they can help with. So you don't have to have an appointment, but if you want to make sure that it's secured, you can do that. And yeah, you would select whatever service you need most help with, whether it's Blackboard, your email, or different software, or anything else really. Whew. So now I'm going to jump into all the other information you're going to want to know to be ready for the start of school. So the first thing is you always want to double check your schedule before classes start. Spring session 2 obviously starts Monday the 18th, so it's coming up real quick. Sometimes the rooms might get changed at the last minute for whatever reason, if there's a conflict or something. So it doesn't happen often, but when it does, you want to make sure that you know. So I recommend that students either go into their portal or they can view and navigate their schedule, just to make sure that if you have a physical class, that you are going to the right classroom. So that way you're not showing up to the wrong room, or and you've probably reviewed this with your advisor, but sometimes it helps to just have it class, the codes, the specific dates. In this case, it would be March 18th through the end of the semester. I believe it would be March 11th, or no, March to May 11th. Days of the week, some of them are more obvious: M for Monday, T for Tuesday, W for Wednesday. And then we get to Thursday, and that usually throws people off. R is what we use for Thursday, just to differentiate from the 2 days that start with a T. There's not a ton of classes on Fridays or Saturdays, but you will on occasion see that there are there. So there will be an F or an S for those days. For the times, if it's a physical class, you're going to see an actual time frame. If it's an online class, there will be no time slot, because when you have an online class, there's no specific time that you're supposed to be signing in. You're just supposed to be going in there at some point and checking your, what you're required to do and turning in your assignments on time. For campus, if you see an ON, that means it's online. So you would find that in Blackboard. Or if you see an L, that means it's a Lawrence campus, or an H, Haverhill campus. For the buildings, one way to kind of tell the difference is all of the buildings in Lawrence have an L before the letter. So Dimitri is just L. Here we have LA. There's LC. So that's another clue to tell that you're on the Lawrence campus. So just be aware of that. And then you'll see a specific room number as well. As far as classes in Blackboard, again, even if you're not in an online only class, you may still find that your class appears in Blackboard. Sometimes teachers like to post things in there, keep track of grades, those kinds of things. So the main thing to remember is you will not a little early, but they're not expected to until the first day of class. If for some reason you don't see the class in there by the afternoon of that first day of the class, you can email your instructor, or you can reach out to an advisor or even me, and then we can try to check in with that instructor and make sure that they turn their class on. Doesn't, again, happen often, but every now and then it definitely confuses students. One thing I want to mention is starting May 15th, they're going to do an update to Blackboard, so it's going to look very different. The picture that you see right here is a very outdated version. So in May, if it starts to look different, don't freak out. It is planned that way, and there are people available to help you navigate where everything kind of moved to. As far as technology needs, whether you have an online class or not, most people need to have some sort of access to a computer. Some students may want to purchase a computer. So if they do, it doesn't really matter too much unless you are in a more tech-heavy major. So if you're in, say, graphic design or engineering or computer science, your computer may need some higher capabilities. So if you're kind of unsure, there are some recommendations that the college came up with based on certain majors to give you kind of an idea of where to start. Locations that have free Wi-Fi. So if for some reason you're having issues with home Wi-Fi, or you're out of town and you want to work on some assignments, there are ways to look for free Wi-Fi. Can be very slow. So if you're kind of unsure about the speed of your internet, you can do a test. And if you're finding that it's speed. If you don't have a computer of your own, there are a few different options. Obviously, some people may just want to purchase their own. If they don't have the funds towards it and they have applied for financial aid, if there's money left over or they want to take out a small loan, they can look at applying those funds potentially towards purchasing a laptop. So if that's something that you want to look into, you would speak with financial aid. But otherwise, there is free access to computers on campus in the computer labs during our business hours. So you can come and use them as needed. They're kind of sprinkled all over the place. Like I mentioned, they're with student life areas they're in the library, they're all over the place. So tons of resources available if you need it when it comes to computers. Wi-Fi available to students. So The secured network is the main NECC Wi-Fi network. So that one you would log in with your NECC student ID number and your password. Sometimes it doesn't work. I find, especially with my Android, I have a hard time connecting to it. So you can go to the IT help desk in the libraries and they can help you like adjust your settings to connect to it. But if you don't really have time for that and you're in a pinch and you need access now, there is a visitor network. Just know that it's unsecured. So, you know, they're not as safe, depending on what you're doing on there. Another free thing that's available to our students is access to Microsoft Office. So as part of you being able to get into your Outlook student email, in the upper left-hand corner, you'll see the little waffle or 9 dots, and that will give you access to Microsoft Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Teams messaging, and video chat. And this is really great because, again, it's free. And if you are somebody who is trying to purchase a computer of your own, you can save yourself money by not having to also purchase Microsoft Office because you can access all of that for free. Just another plug for checking your student email. That's where you're going to be receiving contact from professors, advisors, financial aid, student accounts. You're going to get, if you schedule an appointment with somebody, you're going to get reminders in there. You may get invitations to certain programs like PACE or SOAR that can provide even more of those wraparound supports. Another important one, though, is the weekly events and updates email. That comes out on every Tuesday, and that's great to check even if you just skim it a little bit, because we put upcoming events and important updates that we think students will want to know about in there. Class syllabus. So at the beginning of every class session, when you start a new class, you should be getting a class syllabus from your professor. These are really important to review because they're essentially that contract between you and the professor. And it's really important that you review it early on so that you know exactly what to expect from that class and what is expected of you, because there are certain deadlines that I will mention in a couple slides going forward that this can help you make a decision if this class is the best fit for you or not. As for textbooks and course materials, there are many ways students can get a hold of those. Probably the easiest way is you could just physically come to the Haverhill campus, and the bookstore's in the student center on the second floor, and you can just go in there and bring your schedule and they can help you locate the books. But there are a few other options. For some students, it's just easier to order it online and have it sent to their house or apartment or wherever they live. For that, it's a flat rate of $7.99 per order. So whether you get $50 of textbooks or $200, it's the same fee for any number of purchases you make. You can also order it online and then pick it up at the Haverhill campus for free. Or if you are somebody who would prefer to pick it up in Lawrence. Unfortunately, there's no physical bookstore out there. So what they do is they have students order online, and then they will arrange a specific pickup date where you can meet them at the Lawrence Dimitri building to pick those books up. This is another plug for that weekly email on Tuesdays. Sometimes the bookstore does adjust their hours throughout the semester, especially at the beginning of each session or during certain breaks. So it's a good place to double check if they're going to be open when you go there. The book voucher period. So this is for students who applied for financial aid, receive financial aid, and if they have money left over, they can potentially use that through a book voucher to purchase books at the bookstore. So again, that's something that you probably should have gotten an email to your student email about if it applies to you. But if you're not sure or you didn't get that email and you think it might apply to you, then definitely just go talk to financial aid directly. Their website is just neccstore.com, so pretty easy to get to. When you're there, you can see the specific course books that you might need. So when you go to the website, there's a box where you can enter your student ID number. And then once you enter that, it will find all your courses that you're signed up for that session. At that point, you can select the books you need. They have used, new, and also rentals that you can select from for most textbooks. And then you can choose if you want to do pickup or delivery. There are some purchasing tips I want to just get out there. I want you to remember is that you get that ISBN number from the bookstore website so that you're run the risk of getting the wrong edition. So really make sure that you're careful about typing in that correct number or just copy pasting it faster. For some students, they may find that their course materials are in a different place. So for students that are in math classes and some of the science classes, they use something called Follett Access. And this means that they're essentially using a virtual portal or platform where they access their textbook, study materials and things in there. Sometimes there's quizzes and other things available. So those are, you get an access code for that, and the materials you will have already paid for that as part of the course fee. So you don't have to purchase books or materials for those particular courses. On the first day of classes, your instructor will explain how to access it. They will give you the access code and walk you through that process. Another thing you might see in the bookstore is free open education resources, or OER, are required for this course. So what that means is your professor decided to use free materials that are available really to anyone because it's open access, which is great because then you do not have to purchase books for those courses. So again, once the class begins, your professor will explain how to access those free materials. And yeah, it's really great because it saves you money. As I mentioned, the bookstore has sometimes some different hours. This week, well, we're almost to the end of it. They are closed tomorrow because it's technically spring break. But next week, they will return to their normal hours of Monday through Thursday, 9 to 5, Fridays, 9 to 1, and then they are closed on the weekend. There's also our student IDs and parking permits. So student IDs, they're not required, but they're great to have, especially because it's another way you can possibly save some money. A lot of places offer discounts for our students or just students in general. But there are other reasons why you might want to have a student ID. It helps you access the library resources when you're in person. You can use those for some of the computer labs. We have a fitness center in Haverhill, so you can use it to access the gym and workout rooms and all that. Student IDs also allow you to take the MVRTA bus for free. There are certain student life events you can use it to check into, particularly some of the sporting events. I think you can also get student rates and such. So just be aware that when you do that, they will take your picture. It's not the best quality, so don't mind that too much. But if you want to get your student ID, you would do that. You can also get those at the Welcome Express desk. They are located in the Student Center in Haverhill and also the Dimitri Building in Lawrence. So parking is not as challenging in Haverhill just because there's a lot more open space. It definitely can be more challenging in Lawrence. So I highly recommend, if you are someone who will be taking classes in Lawrence at any point, you may want to get one of those parking permits. They are a hang tag, so you can just hang it over your rearview mirror. So if for some reason you need to switch vehicles, you can just move it on over. And you will want to get a sticker from the Welcome Express each semester, just proving that you are a current student. And so these, you don't have to make appointments for. You can just come to the Welcome Express at any time during normal operating hours, and you can pick those up. Transportation options. I did mention the MVRTA bus. Your student ID will give you free access to that. I did mention that we do have parking on both campuses. There also is a shuttle bus, which is great. It goes directly between the Haverhill and the Lawrence campuses. So if you don't want to deal with looking for parking, or you prefer to go to one campus, but you just have this one class in the other campus, you can just hop on the shuttle bus, go there, come back. Or if there's an event you want to go to, it's really convenient because it just goes straight between the campuses, whereas the public bus, you have multiple stops along the way. For students who are in the culinary program, if you are taking those classes at the Haverhill Heights, there are some limited spaces next to the building that are open to anyone, some on-street parking, and then a parking deck a block away. So you may have to get a little creative or try to get there early on some of those days. Or any other day that week. The main thing is you want to show up. If you are in an online class, then you will want to make sure that you sign into Blackboard and begin your coursework on that first day. There is something called the add drop period, where if you start a class and you think, oh, maybe this is not the right fit for me, or maybe I registered for too many classes, maybe I should take one less, that's your window of opportunity to make any changes to your schedule. Or if a class opened up with a space that you really wanted, that's the time to make those adjustments. So that's from the first day of class through March 25th. After that, you can't make any real changes to your schedule. At that point, it becomes something called the withdrawal period. This is not a first choice for students, but it is available if at some point you are having challenges after the add drop period. The main reason I bring it up is that it does have a deadline of April 19th. So if you are having any challenges in your classes and you're thinking, I might want to let go of this class, but it would still show on your transcript as a W, and there are potentially some consequences as far as financial aid goes and all of that. Definitely speak with an advisor, speak with a financial aid counselor if that applies to you before you make that decision, and so you know exactly what you're doing if that ends up being the right fit for you. Another thing I want to mention coming up real soon, fall registration opens up on April 1st. This is important because if you want the first pick of classes and not the leftovers, the earlier you get registered, the better. I highly recommend doing it before summer because you're going to have the best choice of options when it comes to days, times, and what classes are available. And then, of course, the semester officially ends on May 11th. If you are someone who signed up for summer classes, do be aware those start very shortly after the end of the semester. So if you think you have all this time in between the end of spring and the start of summer, it's going to come up quicker than you expect. So make sure you have that on your calendar and you're ready for it. If you want to write down any of the other deadlines or holidays and closures and things, I recommend checking out the academic calendar, which is part of our academic catalog. And you can write all those things down. There's a link to it in your portal. This here is our next steps checklist. I will send a copy of this to anybody who's requested a copy of the recording or who has attended this session. And this just gives you an idea of some things that you don't have to have done all of these things, but just things to keep in mind of what should I have done or should I do before classes start, during that first day or week of classes, and then kind of throughout the semester. I'm a big checklist person. It helps me stay on top of things. So if this visual helps you, definitely take advantage of it, but it's not a requirement. And then last but not least, I know it's a lot of information. Getting started in college, it's impossible to know everything. And really, that's our job, is to know these things and help answer those questions and connect you to resources. So if you know there's something you need, you don't need to know what exactly is the right resource. Start with somebody, whether it's me at orientation, you can email the general orientation account or text or call the number, and that will go to either me or Krista. She's our student success specialist and my colleague. We work very closely together. Or you can contact me directly at my email or phone number, or really anybody else that you've connected with. So whether it was you start meeting with a coach, you really like talking to your advisor, just start with somebody, because we would much rather answer your question now when we can really do something to help you versus almost at the end of the session when we're kind of limited on what